Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, November 29th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Good morning, good morning. All right, well, let's start off. I'll just say I would describe myself this morning as neutral to bearish. Emphasis on neutral, but I am bearish today. And the reason for that is I believe the market is in a balancing area right now. And often if you test one end of balance and you don't break out to the upside, you head down towards the opposite end of balance. Okay? So that larger narrative, I believe, is at play. So if we zoom right in, the overnight just traded in the lower end of yesterday's range and created very strong resistance right at the base of the single prints down from the I period yesterday, which is where we would expect the market to have resistance. So that is a little bit bearish to see. The market opening inside the previous day's range means we're looking for chop first thing this morning. We're looking for the market to just kind of grind up and down and try to figure out what it's doing. The first signal it could give us that it's doing something is if it heads down below this overnight low right here around 39.65, pushes below there, comes back up and finds some resistance. That resistance tells us it wants to head down and repair the poor low at 39.60 that we left behind yesterday. Okay, pushing below yesterday's low would be a continuation of the trend lower that we've now begun with price, where we would have a lower high and a lower low, plus value would be lower. So that would be bearish to see. So if we were to repair that poor low, come back up and then find a resistance at yesterday's low. Okay, so there you go. We just pushed below the overnight low. So now we're looking to see, do new sellers pile on right here? If we push below yesterday's low and we find resistance there, we begin to monitor for continuation lower. Again, a balance area low is kind of a tricky thing to pick out. It's not an exact level, and we do have a lot of weakness that we left behind down here. So I'm not sure if the market would just need to come down and repair these last few bits of weakness, be looking for support in here, and then try to turn around and head the other way, or if it'll need to come all the way down and repair the weakness, down near these lows. We kind of just got to wait and see. The best way to describe it is just to look at the daily. I mean, look at these candlesticks. You tell me what's the balance area low. It's really tricky to see. You can see the balance area. There's no question about it now. The market is in balance. But where exactly is that low? Well, we just don't know. However, it does clearly seem like we're heading from one end of balance, as we have done in the past. So neutral to bearish, looking for resistance at the overnight low. Let's see what we get. David V, would you consider wicks or just candle bodies for a high or a low? Well, that's the thing about a balance area high. Oh, I should also mention I pushed up the balance area high this morning. Yesterday I had it down here around the 4,000 level. I have it pushed up now at 40.35. As that just clearly to me looks like a balance area high. But yeah, so how do you pick a balance area low? If the market is bouncing between a range, how do you pick out what level you think is the balance area low? Well, the first clue is generally the larger nodes with the cumulative volume. So you pick a general area looking at like, where are the lows? You know what I mean? We got lows in here and here and here and here. So like you're looking at this general area where is probably the spot where the market runs out of steam to the downside and turns around and starts heading back up. And then you just kind of go, all right, where's the biggest node that stands out to me in that general area? It's definitely not an exact science. But you just really want to know that the market is in a balancing area. You want to know that if it tries to go higher and it can't, it's going to head down. And you just monitor for continuation. I would feel much more comfortable that the balance area low is here at 39.46 if we didn't have all this weakness still in need of repair below. Market may need to do one of those big wick dips. Just clean all that up. Who knows? Okay, so far, no resistance at the overnight low. And we've now passed back up through the opening price once again. So that increases the odds that we're just going to have more chop here this morning. Excuse me. So yeah, we're looking for more grind up and down, staying stuck inside yesterday's range. It's also not great taper on the high. 300 contracts, then 600, then 400, then 100. It's not good taper. Increasing the odds. The market wants to go up there and do a little more business as we chop it up. So just really quickly, I will point out, looking at this overnight high, this looks like really strong resistance to me. And it's worth mentioning why. Well, first off, actually, let me just delete this. So first off, you have the single prints that we left behind yesterday. So these single prints that we left behind in the I period yesterday, these tell us that yesterday's move was what we call a double distribution. A double distribution essentially means it's almost like two separate days. So it's almost like the market pushed all the way down to here one day and then pushed lower again the next day. You know what I mean? And closed lower. So it's very bearish to see. And you treat that base of single prints almost like it's a high for a previous day. It's a very important pivotal level. Getting above it, finding support, means continuation higher, but more likely it acts as resistance to take you lower. So when we look at the overnight range and we see that the overnight range traded right on top of that level, that is where the most time and, not necessarily the most volume. There's a lot of volume down here too, but a lot of volume was traded up here. Okay. So that tells us that that is acting as resistance. Also above, this angle right here is not exactly what we call a 45-degree angle. This doesn't technically fit the criteria, but it's very, very similar. And essentially, when the overnight market does this, when it keeps trying to go higher and it just can't, and it can't, runs out of buyers, runs out of buyers, runs out of buyers, runs out of buyers all night long, just keeps running out of buyers, and it creates that perfect 45-degree angle, that is often very strong resistance in the regular trading hours if we try to push up into there. It tends to be very, very hard for the market to get through that 45-degree angle. So again, that's not technically a 45-degree angle to me. but it is still kind of bearish to see. So you got a lot of reasons. Of course, the market is in a chop zone, so it could chop it up. That's what it does in a chop zone. But I do think we have some strong resistance above. As always, when the market is in a chop zone, we're watching the halfback, which is currently right here at 39.70, where the price is. If halfback can hold as support or resistance, it means the market is going to chop up to test, the other side. So if it holds as resistance here, it means the market is looking to chop back down and test the lows. If it holds as support here, it means the market is looking to chop back up and test the highs. We're in a chop zone and we're chopping it up. Only got 48 likes in here today. Got 138 people. Please smash that thumbs up button. I sure would appreciate it. All right, so now that we're pushing above halfback, can halfback become support? Question mark. $777. Hi, I was expecting you to stream yesterday. Yeah, I was streaming. I was just on the Bookmap channel. Got to follow me on Twitter, bro. All right, so here we go. Can the halfback at 39.70 hold as support? Or do we just keep on chopping it up? Chopping it up. River72, what's your Twitter handle? Pirate Traders. I sent out an email to brigade members, put it on the videos page for brigade members as well. And then I sent out a tweet and a notification on the YouTube as well. I did my best to spread the word. And by the way, if you're new to my channel and you don't really know my system or what market profile is, it's actually worth checking out the stream I did with them yesterday. You can find it on the homepage for the YouTube channel here. It was pretty good, I think. All right, no support from halfback, passing back through the opening price once again. You know what that means. They couldn't take the market higher. They're going to try to take the market lower. The chop continues. So the same as before. As we push below that overnight low, the question becomes, can we turn it into resistance to head down and repair yesterday's poor low? All right, well, that's resistance at the overnight low. So that gets me bearish here. I remain bearish as long as we're below the opening price. If we pass back through that opening price, I'm wrong, and the chop will just continue. But it does seem like we have some new sellers below this overnight low. And that, in my mind, increases the odds we want to test yesterday's low at 39.60. Repair that weakness we left behind. J Trader. That bookmap host was really singing your praises. Yeah, Bruce, man, he gets it. That's the thing. The guy gets it. When you stream, week in and week out over and over again to a public that responds, each person in their own random way, you learn, game recognizes game. Trade hard. You mentioned risk reward in a trade. Does that mean you don't scale out? No, it doesn't. And actually, I realized, after the fact yesterday, I realized I didn't really talk about monitoring for continuation. Like there are scenarios where actually this morning is a good one. So like you could be getting short right now, looking to just test, just repair the poor low that we left behind yesterday. So you got your stop up here. You're looking to target down here. That's your trade. But you could, as the market is coming down here and it's looking to, fill your take profit order, if you say to yourself, you know what, I think we're actually heading all the way down here, you can monitor for continuation. So you can just stay in the trade, don't take profits here. You move your take profit order down, and then you just, once the market comes back up and finds resistance, you move your stop and you just stay in the trade and let it go as far as it can. Or you can even add to it. But only if adding to it after moving your stop is still only risking 2%. So that's my version of, laddering in and laddering out of positions. Is like if I'm in a trend down, right? Like I get short here with a stop up here. The market pushes lower, comes back up. It's getting resistance. I move that stop below the entry. So now there's zero risk on the table. Now I can add and take 2% risk here and just do that dance again and again and get out, however I want. The idea is just that at no single moment am I ever risking more than 2%. High impact news in 11 minutes. What's the high impact news in 11 minutes? I noticed there's a bunch of stuff happening tomorrow. Consumer confidence. New Zealand building consents. What's it gonna be? All right, well, we know what this is. We've seen this before. This is the bots trying to get people long so they can break through those stops to take out yesterday's low. So many traders are convincing themselves the market's going to make a higher low on the daily today, and they want to buy that low. They want to buy the low of the day. And so the bots are like, sure, we'll play along. We'll let you do that. Go for it. Just keep building up those stops more and more. Build them up and build them up. All right, so we're about to test yesterday's low. Anybody want to pick the number? What's going to be the size of stops below there? I'm going to go with 400. Today's low is now considered weak because it is one tick from yesterday's low, increasing the odds of a need for repair. John Doe says 472. All right, we got 800 stops. We got 700 stops. They're still buying. These people that are buying right now, they got to be putting their stops somewhere. They're so smart. Look at them. Such innovators. Buying the very low. How brave they are. All right, testing that overnight low once again. Looking for resistance. Michael says, I'm afraid to chase this downtrend while it's above yesterday's low. You're not chasing a downtrend, my friend. The downtrend hasn't even begun. The downtrend begins when we get the resistance at yesterday's low. This is just chop right now. All right, I stay bearish below 71. J Trader says, is the market just waiting for Papa Pal? Well, yeah, you would expect a slow day today because of what's happening tomorrow. But again, we're in the middle of a balance area. So the market doesn't have to grind sideways. Let me pull up that daily. You know, it would not be like the market would not be freaking out if it pushed lower to test these lows. Anywhere inside of here is an area where the market is very comfortable doing business. So if you got a day where you don't really want to move the market anywhere big because you got big news coming out tomorrow, why not take it down to that balance area low? What a great spot to take off from, depending on what Papa Pal says tomorrow. All right. They just reloaded. Coming back down for that low. Ah, that was the consumer. That was the consumer news coming out. I see. Yeah, all the volume disappeared. Whew. That's when the market made the move. Oh my goodness. They forecast it to be 100 and it's 100.2. Holy, oh no. Ah. Sell the market. Bye, 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 bye. Scooball says the argument is good too for just chopping the note of death. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. We're at 69. We're at the node of death. Yeah, no, I still think, like I said, Market mechanics are pretty simple. When you fail to break out of one end of balance, you often head to the opposite end. And we do have a lot of weakness here, including a poor low from yesterday and a weak low from today. So it's not like if the market went lower today, it would be making some big crazy move. It's basically the same thing as rotation anywhere inside of here. But we'll see. So here we go again. Round 3. Can we find resistance at the overnight low to repair yesterday's poor low? All right. Well, unfortunately, I got to change the banner back to a chop zone. I do still 100% think we're coming to take out that low. But right now, the buyers are trying to defend. And because of the location of the market, they're able to hold it. So I will be bearish once again when we pass back down below the overnight low. But for now, there's a chance they want to head up and test this resistance up here around the 80s. So I'm back to chop. It's literally just nothing but bots chewing people up. Take out the stops on one side, take out the stops on the other. So we got to wait until they've taken everyone out and they've exhausted everyone before the market makes the move. As I suspected, the market got slapped down right at the 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. That is a sign that the bots are in control. And that's why we're chopping it up. The old computers taking as much of your money as they can before they move the market. So here we go. Round 4. Can we push below the overnight low and hold as resistance this time? If we hold as resistance, I'll get bearish once again. They won't fool me twice, though. I'll wait till I see that resistance. Andrew, thoughts on NQ? Let's take a look. Okay, NQ, man, that looks like a bounce area too. I would say the NQ is probably right on its bounce area low now. I would call it like 11,575. And the bounce area high, like a little bit lower. Like 11,847. So you're in that zone now where the NQ could become at some point, obviously it's not there right now, but it could become a look below and fail. So now that it's kind of gotten to that balance area low, if it can turn around and start to head up, then you know it's likely heading towards the opposite end. But if it pushes down and it continues to build momentum down here, well, that becomes very, very bearish as a potential breakout of balance. So you're now using yesterday's low as the area to look for resistance. Resistance at 11,576 would be very, very bearish for continuation to the downside. ES, let's do it. Round 4. Can they hold it? Do we get resistance at the overnight low? Too soon, Scooball. Give it one more second. Let's call it halfback. Let's call it halfback, not the overnight low. Morty, regular hours. Oh, wait, or extended to include like the 15 minutes or whatever, the runoff period. I think it does include that. Yeah, that's my settings. The ES didn't quite test it. The SPX. but it's worked twice now for the Q today. All right, well, halfback didn't hold. That means the chop continues. Dang, man. They're going to play some games today. They're going to chop it up today. Just say to yourself, though, there was a bunch of people that just bought in here, right? The market pushed back down below the overnight low, and they were buyers. Where did they put their stops? Big question mark. Michael, this market has a black belt. It's a master ninja. It's chopped, dude. It sucks. It is what it is. The thing about when the market is stuck in a chop zone like this, you know it's building up something, right? You know that it's slowly but surely winding up that spring, making it tighter and tighter. It's pulling that rubber band back tighter and tighter. But you can't time when that break is going to happen and the market's going to make its move. You got to kind of just sit through the chop. But make no mistake, one side or other of the market is getting itself overly long or overly short. And you can't predict the range? Well, that I disagree with. The range is always the previous day's high or low. Jamie, yeah, the software on the left is Market Profile. It's from a company called Window Trader. The profile that you see right here, this is today's range. The one with the bluish colors, that's the overnight range from last night. And then the one on the left is yesterday's range. Each letter represents a 30-minute time period. Big Ray says, remember a thing called measured moves. Works well, as most in predicting moves. Yeah, I mean, you got your measured move, you got your Fibonacci, you got your standard deviations, you got your pivot points. They all generally point to the same areas. Screwball, but the resistance is getting weaker and weaker too. Yeah, like right here, the resistance is getting weaker. But again, this, as I mentioned earlier, this high in the overnight to me is very, very strong resistance. So to me, this is just a chop up. You know, chopping up in here, testing the base of the single prints from the overnight or from yesterday. I mean, testing this big node of volume for resistance in there. That's just chop. Still bearish to me. If that starts to break, if the market starts to push its way through that, then I'm saying, okay, wow, the resistance is breaking. Until then, I'm saying they're just going to chop it up. Chop it up. All right, so the market just created a poor high. Another indication of chop. Weak low, poor high. Weakness on both sides of the market. But creating that poor high increases the odds that this is just a push away from the poor high, looking for support to come back and repair it. Repairing the poor high would be creating an initial balance to the upside, which is a little bit bullish for what it's worth. Which is not a lot in a chop zone. Weakness, weakness everywhere. Buyers and sellers, you better beware. Poor high, poor low are coming for you. Which way the chop goes, no one knows what it will do. All right, so there's the repair of the poor high. And also a test of the first resistance we had above at 76. All right, so it's a little bit bullish that we were able to push through that 20 moving average on both of those indices on the 15-minute candles. So now the question becomes, can that resistance turn into support? Do those bots flip a switch and start buying? So we're now looking to turn this node right here around 39.71 that was resistance into support. All right. So with the printing of the C period here, we have put ourselves in a bit of a tricky situation. Okay. So first and foremost, we've got these single prints we left behind from the B period, increasing the odds. The market needs to pull back to backfill those single prints, and we will be looking for support there at the base of those single prints. Now, the market is technically one time framing higher, which is the beginning of a trend to the upside, which is obviously bullish to see. So if we saw the market start one time framing higher, and then we saw support at the base of those single prints, that would be bullish for continuation to the upside. But I want to caution everyone based on two things, both of which I brought up at the open this morning. The strength of the resistance above the market here in this overnight high. I see this as very, very strong resistance, even for a trending market. Also, the weakness of this low. A poor low on top of a weak low. A weak low on top of a poor low with a balance area low, an untested balance area low. down here just exponentially increases the odds that the market wants to come back and visit these lows today. So even though we are getting the signal that we're one time framing higher, and even though there is a potential to get a second signal of bullishness if we find support at the base of the single prints, I will not be convinced until we get through this resistance in the overnight. So I would basically call it like 87. I would say I need to see the market, even though it's one time framing, I need to see it push up to here, get above here, and then find buyers up here, find support up at this level before I will truly be bullish that it can continue higher. I just think, part of understanding the two-way auction is knowing that the market always wants to go where there's liquidity waiting. And there is a lot of liquidity waiting down here at these lows, like a giant magnet that's just pulling price in, right? You got all those stops from these buyers this morning who bought this week low, from these buyers at the end of the day who bought the spike down, right? You got all this weakness just waiting, all these stops waiting to be taken out down here. And then you got the stronger hand buyers, the buyers who buy a balance area low, waiting to do business. They're not going to chase the market up here. They're going to be patient as they have to be, waiting for the market to come into their orders. So that's more liquidity waiting down here. So we know there are multiple giant pools of liquidity, stops from these weak lows, and, stronger hands buyers waiting to buy that balance area low. So to me, the market really has to earn a bullish call from me. Right now, I still, even with the trend, think the sellers are in charge here. So that is what I leave you with. Looking for support at 75. If it can hold, continuation higher. But I would not fall in love with it. There's resistance waiting. Those sharks are just swimming around up here around 86. Just looking for their chance. To come eat you up. That actually looks more like a fighter jet than a shark. All right, guys. Thank you very much. With that, I will bid you farewell and head on over to hang out with the cool kids in the brigade. There we go. If you want to join us, it's only $10 a month. Otherwise, we'll see you here tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.